This is day 814 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you like to sponsor upcoming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact directly. We very greatly appreciate it. Today we are doing Siman Tuf Kufkid Aleph, Aleph to Yud. The halachas of igniting and lighting water. I mean, igniting, not the water, igniting fire to heat up the water, to wash and for incense. You can allow to take a bonfire and heat yourself opposite. Some people say because havara is mutter. It's also for tzarech, also mutter shlo tzarech. That's a ran. It's a Alabama saying no tzarechim the time zeh. Which says we don't really need that reason. Kol shu tzarech haguf, anything which is a need of the body. Havichal ochel nefesh is including ochel nefesh. Chem avoid be perish Rashi by Gemara Sham. Rambam Kamoshi's bar. We'll see the Rambam also the same thing. So Sham Rambam perish Mishnah. Masha Amar Hashem, that which God said. Hashem ochel nefesh, anything which can be eaten by his soul. Anything any pleasure of the body. I'm astonished that I'm not right anywhere in the Arukh HaShulchan. Who like it became the cause of Perkav Din Dalad, perhaps because he wrote all malachos we don't say mitoch only by outside, by carrying outside avara and making fire. Cloud, I am chump. Are you allowed to make a fire even if it's not in the Torah at all? You can't in the mutzah ourselves, but at least connect us. So if it's a kavachomer, you can do it for no purpose at all. So you can make it in order to heat yourself opposite the bonfire. Should I feel the shlo Torah cloud mutter, but even shlo Torah cloud is permissible. Base the mutzah beyond mayim l'chotz yadav glove. You're allowed to heat up water on yantav to wash your hands and face, not hands and face, hands and legs. Mishnah Berurah says even if they're not, the water is not suitable for drinking, just for washing. And the Mishnah Berurah also has your face. I have a local of not your entire body. Can't share Mishnah Sham. That's the only Mishnah. Prishra say by test kind of Mishnah Talmud Shum Da'inan Tabah Shalachal Nevesh. It's got to be something which is a Shalachal Nevesh, meaning everybody would be agree that this is a pleasure which is basic. B'zeh Eino Roy. Actually, sorry. The Mishnah Berurah here says, no, it doesn't say anything. It says, right. Okay, so again, the some Rishonim say by Tosfos, Rishonim say a time Rishon b'nei davar shel never got to be something which is equal for every person. Zayin roy elam b'nei adam mu'nagim. Only pampered people wash their entire body. Everybody wash their hands and feet. Gabi Isra Mugmar. They explain the same reason why incense is also. She's Barb says that should be explained later on. Nobody has ever interesting language. Nobody has ever swished this halacha. Be like this when you go like this with pages. Not sure exactly how to translate that. V'chol poskim p'sovin halacha psukahi. Chol poskim it's halacha psuka. B'zman hazeh, yours truly, paskins, that you can take a shower on Yontif. It's considered to be davar shel b'chol nefesh today, but especially as we will perhaps get to later on, because the shower itself is aver. But that's for later. Kimel kvar sound the same tough side case. You see if you test. The Baram Eloitza Claudine said the Ba'inan Tavar Shabachol Nevesh. Ram doesn't write it as Shabachol Nevesh. Time the Isur Chitzas Kol Gufo. He said it's also to wash your entire body because the Gzeir might come to use a bathhouse, which is a very different thing. Sharatzion says that according to Tais, it's also midaraisa, and it's also to heat up even for Cholish Able Sakana. But around it's only Isur Derabanan, and it's mutter through a shinui. Again, we shall see this further. And the Rambam also asks this incense because of extinguishing. He said, and that seems to be the case in the Rif. And as we explained there, the Rif They allow these malachas even they're not shabachol nefesh. Muchal lehedya by perakam ksubas ayin sham. This is clear from that first paragraph of ksubas. Dalit v'zel l'shona Rambam b'perakav din tezayin. This is what the Rambam writes. Uchitza v'sicha, washing and anointing. Hareim b'chlal achil v'shiyah. They're included in eating and drinking. V'osiras and b'yantif. And you can do them in the Shemar azasher achasher yachal l'chol nefesh chol tzar l'chaguf. Which can be is eaten by any soul for any purpose of the body, any need of the body. That's so you can heat up water on your Yontif bed, part of the other raga, wash your feet, your hands, your face, hands, and feet. I have a cocoa for us, but all of your body is us because it might come to go to a bathhouse. The hot water which you heat from Erev Yontif, and cocoa for Yontif, you can wash your entire body then with Yontif. Shlo gozu al davar zeh el b'Shabbos body only forbade this on Shabbos. Miu kol gzel dafka b'chutz l'merchatz. It's only outside the bathhouse. Merchatz also in the bathhouse. It's also which says even in the outer room of the bathhouse. Hot water which is heat up on the yontif. Now let's wash your entire body. Mishnah says also to rinse off your body. There's not going to reach that tafe. The long use here is also. I feel even limb by limb, and Bilal says in the name of Rashba that other limbs, as long as it's a little part of his body, only part of his body is permitted. I'm not sure, but other limbs, in other words, besides the hands, face, and feet, it sounds like they are lenient. So if you hear from Erev Yontif, even your entire body in one shot is mutter. And bati like to go in the bath. They paskin that even to wash your entire body is it's even to wash your entire body in water which is heated up, even if it's heated up from Erev Yontif, just like with Shabbos, it's also. That's the minhag. Which says, but according to this minhag, you could still wash your entire body aver. Din Chamei Tveria kamo b'Shabbos. The halacha of Chamei Tveria is like on Shabbos, because Chamei Tveria Chavav, and Arukh HaShulchan adds your brackets. V'nir lidolchim l'shitasa. They follow their line of reasoning elsewhere. The Riv Rosh. To Beruch Yontif have it is the term Mishum Shein Shabachol Nefesh. According to me in the Rosh that with heat on Yontif, it's the rice because it's not Shabachol Nefesh. Because Erev Yontif at the Yontif, they acid water to heat up before Yontif on account of water you might come to heat up water on Yontif. Actually, the Riva Rambam is supposed to be the Rambam Yontif when it's also and if water heat up Yontif is only also. Elam Mishum Zeres Merchatz Midah Bar because of the decree that you might come to use a bathhouse. You can't answer Erev Yontif on account of Yontif because that would be Gzeira l'Gzeira. Hey, because Rabbeinu Rambam is base, the Mutzah Chotz Tinok b'Mayim Shechmoy Dei So b'Yontif. Wash a baby. The water which is heated by you on Yontif. I will also l'Chameim l'Tzorcho. I feel like they're any Yehudi. But you're not allowed to heat up the water for his purpose, even by a non-Jew. I would tzorch l'Bash l'Diach. You need the water for cooking or for rinsing. You're allowed to add water for the tinok, for the child. Even for the child, which is compelling. You can't heat up independently unless you're heating up for his face, hands, and feet. No, it's for your face, hands, and feet. Then you can use it to watch the child. But for the child himself, it's also even through a non-Jew. For only be needed for cooking or for washing dishes. With our bus, no to add for the child. But that will always be in one act of cooking. Mr. Burr writes that if you did wrong, they didn't have to heat up water, you can use the water. Apparently, this makes a lot of sense. But it's not so necessary for the child. But it's necessary for the child. Obviously, you can heat it up for him. The Indian Latino can have a Shabachol Nefesh for the child. It's Shabachol Nefesh. Can't believe for Rama. Lo Shabbos Hekdesh Mechutz. It's not shaykh to make a decree. You might take the kid to the bathhouse. Mostly it's not so compelling for the child. That's why they answer it. Only if there's water which is prepared, you have to wash the entire body. There's no issue to wash it off. Some say that even the gam b'chol emerald is the thing shnayim shlosh yamim also b'chol gufa b'yantiv. Some say that today, when we don't wash the child every day, it's also to it's not considered shabachol nefesh even for the child, and you can't wash the entire body in yantiv. Vav la'atil mayim chamim b'mikveh. Achshav shanoshim ein b'chol lechem mikveh shel mayim karim. To put hot water in the mikveh now that women are never so weak that they can't go to cold water mikvahs. Pshita da'avad davar shabachol nevesh. It's obviously shabachol nevesh. Come in kan says merchat, so there's no decree they might come to a bathhouse. Muti is permitted in yantiv. Hamnam zelk shemachamim b'layla, but that should heat up the water at night. The shirklim mikvah pour it into the mikvah. Avchaim yom rishon shel yantiv, but to heat up the water on the first day yantiv. The women should go that night. Pshita shas it's obviously forbidden. I feel achara asim yom rishon l'sheni. Any preparation is also from the first day, second day. Because Melach Daraisa, because I'm saying that Melach Daraisa is definitely awesome. Mishnah Berurah says that to a Jew you shouldn't heat up even on Leil Yom Tov Sheni. I know what he means by that. Once Yom Tov Sheni starts, what's the problem? But to a non-Jew, since it's not possible to go to mikvah otherwise, the im lav lo yichul tefillah yom, not the one go to mikvah today, have a shvus damir ein on Yehudi. It's the rabbanon of to tell you a non-Jew, makom mitzvah, in place there's a mitzvah, the rabbim of the master shev shas makom das bal ito yikun bal ito sheivir ben ramal el sim reish and vosh mutla mal ein Yehudi lalich lo neresh l'shul Shabbos ayin shab. Back there, I don't think he would allow he didn't allow that. We talked about this Baal Yitzhak when we learned that. We said the Arukh HaShulchan did not rely on the Baal Yitzhak for Shabbos. We mentioned that I said named Rabban Soloveitchik that you can rely on it, and Mishnah Berurah, I believe, does rely on it, as we said, but the Arukh HaShulchan said no. But here he's saying yes, and he acknowledges that, as we'll see momentarily. Okay, so here he says, again, he says that she'ef shesmo das bal yidish ben ramal elsim in the reish hava shmuto lamar ein yehudi alit lo never shus lo shabbos and shav va'af she'ein anu something mal letter say kmosh kasavnu sham im Arukh HaShulchan does not rely that answer there come b'makom bitul period v'rivya, the place where the husband and wife not going to be able to eat together al pirov ein yehudi sheitzel balon el semi atzmo, and also the non-Jew who works in the bathhouse in the mikveh. He usually does it on his own initiative anyway. We're compelled to rely on the Baal Yitzhak. Tov Shabbalon, Talmai Mechitas Kela B'Yotiv Chadoma. Sorry. So it's good that the bathhouse then should take from this water, which is being heated up by the non-Jew, to wash his kalim on Yom Tov. He says, I think that's the minhag. Mishnah Berurah says that this is essential to use the water when it's being heated up for the nighttime. And here it says you have to use for the kalim of the bathhouse of the mikveh attendant. And he also adds that be careful not to add water afterwards to the pot. Rather, you should initially fill the entire pot with water according to the share which you require. So it will be done in one fell swoop. And to wash, to heat up water, to wash herself at the time she begins the Sfira Shiva Nakim. That's the one who puts on white clothing, but I ain't enough. That's at least not appropriate. She use cold water. The time she might or use water to heat up for drinking. Etc. Say now to heat up a winter house or on Yontif. But I mean, a cold adults, and it's not so cold. Ain't no food knocking. It's only for pampered people. I have a kamercha to mukmar also. It's like a bathhouse and incense also, but no glaka. I think it's to be lean. I can't show. I'm saying shum tam chumazu. Why should be machmir? They say none who lay no shabachol nefesh. How's not shabachol nefesh? A corpse sheet of shabachol nefesh. Everybody suffers from cold. That which in the level of cold, the natures are not equivalent. In mikra zeh ain't shabbat chol nefesh. That's not called shabbat chol nefesh. Neso shesiyas achamim. Let's forgive drinking hot beverages. Hateva kave to tea and coffee. You don't have to take that food rocking. It's only for parent people. Vayda came the ikras b'shesiyah shabbat chol nefesh. Must be that since the drinking is this, in its essence is equal for everybody. But we don't get involved in details. V'chein kol etzot unkol. Masim b'cholim pesach sukkah is my car shon masikim to be cham b'yontif. And it's massive. Every pace on Sukkot, what's called, we actually heat up the house on Yontif. Ches, Avagav does not be Ken Yontif, even though that to bring Ken to Mikvah Yontif. Should take a mark as it's fixing, of course, I'm assuming to Kuf Kuftes. We come all the Mutali Bob to us of Yontif. The person can go to Mikvah Yontif. He's Tomei. We shouldn't do Mersim can make it because it looks like he's going to, what's the word? Wade. Cool himself off. V'gam b'Shabbos mutar. Zos mutar on Shabbos. Sorry, I have to interrupt that for a minute. Also on Shabbos, this is a mutar to go for gam Shabbos mutar on Shabbos in Tishin Chavav. V'chitza b'tzoni v'ashol kol or pshita shemutar b'yontif. It's obviously mutar b'yontif. Shei gam Shabbos mutar. Shabbos is permitted as well. And the Shabbos sort of like tifa seyar. Carmelis. And Shabbos, you come out of a river after having washed yourself in cold water. You have to make sure to drip the hair off the water off your hair. In order not to shouldn't come and carry the water in a carmelis and not area where there's no air. You have to be in circles. You don't have to do this recreation. These are the lace they schita, but you should not come to squeeze your hair. Lo b'saro, not your hair, lo b'chaluko, nor your robe, mitpachto, or your handkerchief, anything similar. Test. Einosim mugmar, you can't make mugmar, that is a fragrance, essence. Coming back to just before we go on. So, he had said back on in Sifta Dalit that Chaim and Shulchan Yontif Osir Chos Kol Gufo Afil Aver. So there, the Mishnah Berurah had already said that that's not the case. Mishnah Berurah said, and that's a very big machlokes in Arukh HaShulchan, where Arukh HaShulchan is evidently machmir, whereas Mishnah Berurah is mekel, which is that the Mishnah Berurah says that you're allowed to wash your entire body, aver. No, he says that. Also, no, that's not actually clear. The Mishnah Berurah seems also to say that only if it's Chaim and Shulchan Erev Shabbos, but that aver is permitted. But in any event, Zman Hazeh, it would seem, like I said, it seems that this is Shabbat Chol Nefesh, to wash oneself on Yontif, and therefore it is not a problem. To do the Zman Hazeh. My impression, which I'm not seeing right now, is that even the post will make any bet, even with water which is heated up in Yontif, when a person goes aver, and that seems to go with Mishnah Berurah, but here, where it's brought down Pesach Mishnah Berurah, it's only referring to Chaim and Shulchan for Erev Yontif. So, without looking into Mishnah Berurah itself, I'm not sure, my recollection might be off, but then maybe you always make on water heat up from Erev Yontif. But as I said, B'zman Hazeh, we regard as being Shabbat Chol Nefesh, to actually take a shower on Yontif. And again, it fits into the category of aver. It requires, I know this requires, I'm leaving this a bit dangling, but I don't want to take too long, because here it's Erev Shabbos. Test. Enosim mugmar. The ayah hazard meaning they'll make incense, which is to scatter herbs, coals, bein lariach, whether it's to smell, bein l'gam rabbi, so to make the house or kalim or vessels smell better. By the time kosel rishonim the ain't shabbat chol nefesh v'lam v'nokim. Again, it's only for pampered people. Ishak they take react of a perus, but he did in order to give a good fragrance to fruit. The mitzkan lachil, the maskan lachil, to make them sweet for eating. It's permitted even to scatter the incense on wooden coals, which is extinguishes them. Ochel Nefesh Mutter Kibui, because of Ochel Nefesh, you're allowed to extinguish. Mosanu compound, like I wrote several times. But yourself and in the end also ignites, so it really burns more in the end. Mishnah Berurah says it's also to do incense if it's not for fruit, but whether both on coals of wood or on coals of pottery, on coals of metal, he's not sure. But it's saying all of this is also, even the initial fire was made for Ochel Nefesh. Mishnah Berurah also says that you show the poskim hold that specifically if the coals are this which is permitted if for the fruit is this big chumrah more than sure. It's only if the coals were heated already for tzorach ochel nefesh, such as the heat of a pot. But you're not allowed to ignite wood in order to scatter besamim under the fruit on the coals. Okay, I'm not sure why. Anyway, Arukh says there's no problem of giving a fragrance. You're not trying to make a fragrance, but to make the food taste better. I feel like Tayyip below the food is good without that. What's the shit? Yosef wants to be better. Mutter is okay. Shlo gadol Torah. Both in the Torah did not curtail our way of eating. You have Rambam Perak Dal Din Vav Kasva Imashim K'Toras Yontif. Nation Mechabe. You can't light incense for it's like herbs and spices, like incense, true incense. Nation Mechabe because you extinguish. Feel riach ba and even the smell of koshkin gamra ba spice. It's only to give a fragrance to the house. It's the kalim and to vessels. Shu also it's forbidden. Mutar Hashem Tam Severis last. Well, actually, it's the same. It's just permissive. I take that back. But it's the Rambam's way of putting it. Because he says here, Mutar Hashem Tam Severis allowed to make the smoke under the fruit. Mutar it says basar leish, like allowed to roast meat on the fire. Chulei. I go to show him. They look us up by movement time to Shavachol Nefesh. By movement, you're not right the reason because of Shavachol Nefesh. In the Rambam, they say things there because Rambam does not hold this halach. Much time to see if you gimel. As because of Tam Kibu, he wrote that that's not Shavachol Nefesh, but because of extinguishing. But he means to say the Afghan of Ochel Nefesh Gomor, even though we're saying which absolute Ochel Nefesh kibas appears like meat and fruit. He still Kibu Tzarich Ochel Nefesh. He allowed you to extinguish. For a purpose of Ochel Nefesh, so which only for the purpose of fragrance, Laura to Chamim Mahatir. Chamim will not want to be matir that. You know what, I'm just going to look up the Mishnah Berurah before we stop for today. That was the end of the actual Arukh HaShulchan for today, but I'm feeling that I want to look this up. Here. I don't see it. Yes, here it is in the Mishnah Berurah and Sipkat and Yud Ches. But he says v'dafka kol gufo ke'echad. Aval ever l'chuli alma muter l'chotz. So it's quite explicit that you can do aver. And he says the Rabbah and the Rashba and the Ritva. So therefore, if you're allowed to wash, the showers will also be mutter. I guess it's the machlekes between the Arukh HaShulchan and the Mishnah Berurah on this. The Mishnah Berurah Shartian seems to be there. Shartian, that's the Rashba and the Ritva as well.